One of the biggest challenges that you as a hypnotherapist or as an RTT therapist are likely to be facing is understanding and getting right the balance between your pricing and your value. And when you get this right, when you get it in balance, when you get it in equilibrium, your business will fly, you will thrive, and you will have that successful business that you want to have. So I'm Jonathan Butler from Help for Hypnotherapists. We help hypnotherapists go from struggling to thriving by teaching them the key simple steps that they need to take to be successful. So I'm going to share with you in this video what I mean by pricing and value and what you can do to get yourself from where you are now to that place where you want to be with your thriving, successful business. So first of all, what do I mean by pricing and what do I mean by value? Well, pricing is obviously what you are asking people to pay for your services, maybe for your time. It's what you're comfortable asking for. It's what you feel that people are willing to pay, and maybe it's how you compare yourself to other people working in your field, working in your area. Now, value is what the client sees. The value is what they are prepared to pay for what you can do for them, for what they see as your personal value, and for their confidence in their ability to get the help that you can give them from you. So value is what they see, price is what you see. Now here's a fundamental challenge in our industry. We work in an industry with lots of great people doing great work, but many people undervalue themselves. It kind of goes with the territory, okay? A lot of therapists actually lack belief, lack self-worth in themselves and price their services down. They play themselves down. They charge less than a plumber. They charge less than a mechanic. They maybe even charge less than a handyman charges to come around and fix a leaking tap. And as we know, when we place low value on ourselves, other people will place low value on us. So that's a fundamental issue we're working from. And what that means is that the baseline has been set out there in the market. If people are going to look for hypnotherapy services, is they're going to find people charging £65 an hour, £90 an hour, $100 per hour, or whatever your local currency is. People are going to see that, and that is a baseline because that's become an expectation for therapy kind of services. And it's an expectation based around the value that people put on themselves and the price that they think they can charge by the hour. So they're boxing themselves into a low price based upon a unit pricing of the availability of their time. So for us to prove that we have value, we've got to somehow break that expectation and that association. Now, just let me tell you that every time in my career as a hypnotherapist and RTT therapist that I have raised my prices, I have made more sales, I get higher conversion rates, and my business does better, and I get less challenges about price. Now, I don't go doubling, trebling prices, anything silly like that, because I'm in this business to help people, but I also recognise I have the right to earn a good living. And I get 90, sometimes 90+% conversion rates between people who have an initial call with me and who say they want to work with me. So I could probably raise my prices even more, because at that rate, obviously, if I'm getting that many people wanting to work with me, the balance between the price I'm charging and the value that they see from what I do is in equilibrium, or maybe I'm actually giving more value even than the price that I'm charging. So that's really, really important to understand. So how do we break that model? How do we get out of that? The person down the road does what you do and it's £65. Well, first of all, we have to change the basis of comparison. Because if you're trying to play that game of competing with the person who's £65 an hour down the road, well, maybe it's pin money for them, maybe it's a second job, maybe it's just a hobby for them, okay? But if you're trying to make a living from doing this, if you want to get paid what you're worth, and actually if you want to get better results for your clients, you're not going to get better results from your clients if they think you're a £65 an hour person, because they're not going to expect much from you. And we know the importance of getting people to believe that we can make great changes for them. So, big question obviously then is, how do we change that basis for comparison so we are raising our value? So how do you go about making then that basis of comparison to raise your value above the person down the road who on paper looks like they can do the same thing as you? And the first thing about this is actually how you're presenting yourself before someone's even met you. Now, this is about how you come across on your website, how you come across on your social media, what you say and how you come across on your videos or your blogs or anything like that you're doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to do loads and loads of that stuff, but what you have to do has to position you in a very appropriate way, in a good way, the way that you want to come across. You don't have to be massively polished, but you have to come across as a high value person. Because when somebody comes to your website, when somebody sees your stuff on social media, they're going to decide whether they want to talk to you. So when they've seen that, they decide they want to talk to you, they've already formed an opinion of somewhere where you kind of fit on that level of value. They're already beginning to make that opinion, whether we like it or not. First impressions count, and people are going to be making up their opinions as to whether you are professional, whether you feel trustworthy, whether you are competent. Okay, so people are already making that judgment before they come to make contact with you. So it's really important you get that right. And the good news here is that this is actually a pretty low bar, because a lot of hypnotherapists, a lot of therapists in general, their online presence, particularly if they've been around a long time, is not very good. I don't mean you need lots of it, but they don't come across particularly professionally, they don't come across particularly well, they're not even doing these basic things. So you can, right up front, get yourself positioned better than that by just getting some basics right of being professional, of appearing competent, and of being somebody that someone will feel comfortable that they want to have a conversation with you. Okay, so that's really, really important. And the second thing then is about when they've decided that you seem like someone they want to have a conversation with, they're beginning to get some kind of perception of your personal value, of how you come across. The next stage is when you have that initial conversation with somebody, whether that's on the phone, whether it's in person, whether it's on a video call. It's about the impact that you make upon them when you are talking. Okay, so that introductory call is incredibly important. It is incredibly important. Again, they are going to be making a judgment about, do they feel that they can trust you? Do they feel that you are competent? And do they feel you understand them and can get results for them? And so the way you handle those calls is incredibly important. Now, one of the most common things, a bit like people who charge £65 an hour, is people fall into the, let's have a call and we can have a chat. Now, this person is not ringing you to have a chat. You may think that, oh, it's unthreatening and makes them feel comfortable to have a chat. But when you go and see a doctor, when you go and see a dentist, when you go and see a specialist in something, when you go and see a lawyer, when you see a high value professional, you don't go along for a chat. You're going to them because you want to know that you can trust them, that you believe in them to get them from where they are to where they want to get to. So you need to handle that call in the right way. Because ultimately, whether people buy from us and the value that they place upon what we do is based upon one simple thing, and that is how you make them feel. And you can make them feel that they like you, that they had a nice cozy chat with you, but they can go and have a nice cozy chat with their friends. So ideally they should like you, but what you really need them to do is to believe in you, to trust you, and to feel safe and comfortable with you. So how you handle that introductory call is really important, and it's why, as I mentioned, I get 90+% of my introductory calls turning into paying clients, because people get my value. How do I do that? I take them through a process where I understand what's going on for them. I make them feel comfortable. I understand, I ask the questions that get under the skin of what is going on for them. Then I move into showing insight that I understand their problems. I'll tell them some anecdotes or stories or examples of other people I've worked with with similar challenges, what's been going on and how I've helped them. I get them to feel that they can trust me, that I can deliver for them, and basically that I make them feel good, that I make them feel that I am the person for them, I can help them, and they want to work with me. They're basically moving into buying mode. I don't need to sell to them. They're ready to basically buy from me because I've got everything that they want. They don't need to talk to anybody else. And the idea of price is just becoming less and less of an issue. And we haven't even at that point had a conversation about price. So having got that personal value, that personal credibility, they feel like I can help them, they feel like I understand them, I've shown them I've got experience of working with similar issues, with similar kind of people and situations to what's happening for them. And then I tell them how I can help them. I tell them how my offer is set up, how I work. And I'm not just talking about I charge by the hour. I'm talking about this is what I'm going to do for you. This is how it will work. This is the process. This is the support that we go through. This is when you can expect to get results. Take them through the offering and how it works. So get to the end of that and they know me, they trust me, they believe in me. I'm making them feel good. I'm showing them I understand them. And they also understand that this is the way that I do it and this is what gets best results. So by the time I get to there, then I'm doing no selling, nothing pushy. It's all very, very comfortable. By the time I get to there are two questions that will come up from the potential client. They'll either ask me, that sounds great, or say that sounds great, and the question will be, how much does it cost and when can you start? Or possibly a combination of those two things. But nearly all the time, if I've done that right, if I've demonstrated my value, I've got to that point, the questions are not anything other than how much does it cost and when can I start? And because I've demonstrated my personal value and because I've taken them through my offer, which isn't based upon going, it's £65 for an hour's session with me, it's based on telling them the way that I work and the way that's packaged up. They've already worked out I'm high value in terms of what I bring to it. And then they've worked out roughly how much time I'm putting into this. And they have a view in their mind of what that's likely to cost. So usually when I tell them the cost, it's not a big surprise. Now let me be clear about this. There is still definitely an element in what people are prepared to pay, people what are comfortable to pay based on the time that you put into it. Okay, people do want to know that. And it's pretty hard to say, I only need 15 minutes with you and it's going to be £1,000, because while people only want the results, people are going to feel uncomfortable with that. So again, as part of that package that you're working with, people do need to kind of feel that they're getting the time, they're getting the resources and the support for you. So that is the difference between pricing and value. And of course, there will be times when you've gone through that process and it will be a price that somebody can't afford. That will happen. You know, even with the best positioning, the best branding world, sometimes there will be people who will come through who can't afford it. But very rarely, almost if never, do I ever get people saying it's not worth it. They may say they can't afford it, but that's because something's going on with their situation. But they probably couldn't afford it at half the price either. They've got that expectation in their mind that it is £60 and they understand why I'm more, but they can't go to that place. So when you get that right between pricing and value, price objections go away. Price objections absolutely go away. It becomes a non-issue for people. They want to know what it costs, and by that time they're expecting it's going to be pretty much what you've said, or maybe even more. And again, that's a great acid test. When you tell them what the price is and they're not surprised by it, you know that you're in equilibrium, you know that you're in the right place, that you're giving a great service and people feel like it's good value, but they've got enormous belief in you at that point that you can help them. So I hope you've enjoyed that. This is one of the most fundamental lessons that you need to learn to be successful in your business. I'm Jonathan. I'll see you soon in the next video.